Try and talk with you or...
I'll call the April 21st, 2014 City Council meeting to order and ask for everyone who would like to join the council and myself in the Pledge of Allegiance to please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have one bit of special business this evening. I have a proclamation, and Rick, if you could come forward, please. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees, and whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and whereas the anniversary of the holiday and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce life-giving oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees can reduce the erosion, I already said that. Whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other products, and whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community, and whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal, and whereas the City of Issaquah will celebrate Arbor Day on Saturday, April 26, 2014, now therefore I, Fred Butler, Mayor of the City of Issaquah, do hereby proclaim Saturday, April 26, 2014 to be Arbor Day. In the City of Issaquah, I urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands. Further, I urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. In witness thereof, I hereunto set my hand and seal of the City of Issaquah this 21st day of April, 2014.
Thank you on behalf of Parks Department.
Thank you, Rick.
Okay.
Our next order of business is audience comments. Citizen comments are an important part of the public process. We take them seriously and factor them into the decisions that we make. Anyone from the public who wishes to comment will have the opportunity to do so. Some general guidelines for participation. When recognized, please come to the lectern and speak into the microphone. State your name, address, and your relationship to the city, a resident, a property owner, or business owner. Please limit your comments to 5 minutes. And if you have written comments, you can provide those to our city clerk. And remember to address your comments to the full council and not to individual members. And with that, I would ask if anyone has signed up to speak.
I have several, yes. Marilyn LaSalle, followed by Corky Nystrom.
I'm Marilyn LaSalle at 2190 Northwest Coyote Creek Lane in Issaquah,
And I'm Corky Nystrom, and I'm an Issaquah resident of 27 years this week, and I live at 285 Southwest Hepler Lane, just right up the road.
Corky and I are here tonight to thank you for your support of the Master Gardeners. Governor Jay Inslee proclaimed April 12th through April 19th as Washington State University Master Gardener Volunteer Week in Washington, and has urged all people in our state to join us in the special observance. Corky and I are here tonight as leaders of the 30 Master Gardeners in Issaquah to thank the City of Issaquah for supporting Master Gardeners and hosting our weekly Master Gardener clinics at the Pickering Farm for over 12 years. The Master Gardener program started in King and Pierce counties in January of '73 and launched an entire Master Gardener movement that is spread across the nation and overseas and trains volunteers to be community educators in gardening and environmental stewardship. Master Gardeners provide research-based information for sustainable gardening and environmentally friendly practices. Each Master Gardener participates in an extensive 13-week training program that covers basic horticulture and botany, soil science, integrated pest management, weed identification and management, plant pathology, and problem diagnosis. The course requires passage of a final exam and a 2-year internship before becoming a certified Master Gardener. In addition, each volunteer is required annually to perform a number of community education and service activities and engage in an annual continuing education.
Master Gardeners provide information and literature on a wide variety of horticulture issues to individuals and families who come to our clinic booths. Our goal is to help gardeners create sustainable gardens and landscapes that thrive with minimal input of labor, water, fertilizer, and pesticides. In 2013, 3,600 Master Gardeners volunteered in Washington, serving 150,000 Washington residents. In Issaquah, just at our Pickering Farm Market and Squaw Mountain nursery clinics, we served over 1,500 residents and sent over 250 plant specimens to expert diagnosticians for analysis. And in King County, over a year ago, clinic customers turned in a survey, over 600 survey cards, and 70% of the customers reported they were using less pesticides and herbicides as a result of Master Gardeners' advice. In addition to providing advice at clinics, King County Master Gardeners run the demonstration garden in Bellevue, which I would encourage all of you to go look at to see if you've never ever been up there. And they teach the public about sustainable gardening. They serve nonprofit demonstration gardens, and through growing grocery programs, they provide mentoring and support to gardeners and community gardeners all over the county. Master Gardeners also serve as public speakers, work with school or youth programs to involve children in gardening, participate in research, staff information booths at garden stores, fairs, community events, and interact with seniors and people with physical limitations to help them start or continue engaging in gardening. We're grateful to the City of Issaquah for supporting Master Gardeners in educating the public about how to enjoy their gardens and yards and to grow their own food, and while at the same time protecting our fragile environment. We thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Marilyn and Corky.
Next on the list, Amy Lai or Lee, followed by Ann Robertson.
Good evening, council members and Mayor Butler. My name is Ann Robertson at 21629 Southeast 35th Street, Sammamish, Washington, 98075.
My name's Amy Lee, and I'm living at 1045 First Place Southeast, Issaquah, Washington. And
We are sustainability ambassadors representing Issaquah High School and the Issaquah School District.
so a few weeks ago, I came and presented about a sustainability summit that we're planning to host this fall. And just a quick refresher, for the sustainability summit, we're hoping to bring together different community sectors in order to measure our community sustainability progress and devise a collective impact project that can further our community.
On April 2nd of this month, we hosted a planning day at Issaquah High School, and we had representation there from middle schoolers, high schoolers, teachers, school administration, small business owners, and local nonprofits. And we had 4 goals to this planning day. The first was to establish a few shared measurement systems that we can use to determine the progress that our city is making in its sustainability efforts. One of which is the City of Issaquah Sustainability Indicators, which have been very helpful. And the second goal was to determine an 18-month timeline, which includes a pilot summit in the fall of this year and a full-blown summit next year, fall 2015.
And our third goal is to identify some community stakeholders that we would like to invite to the full summit in the fall, like from the local business, school, and community and government representatives and sectors. And our fourth goal was to brainstorm and test a few ideas for a collective impact project that the community would work on following the summit.
And some ideas of these collective impact projects include, well, for example, the sustainability ambassadors currently have 2 main focuses. One is stormwater and the second is green building. So our collective impact project would have a similar kind of focus, and it would be the entire community working towards one goal to improve sustainability. In the next few months, we plan to take a few more steps, such as contacting stakeholders in the community, organizing some impact groups, and establishing a few baseline measurements so that we know where the community could most benefit from improvement and sustainability.
And most importantly, we'll be working on generating a community pride and enthusiasm in pursuing these sustainability goals that we will set for the summit.
So our goal as sustainability ambassadors is to empower youth to catalyze community sustainability. So naturally, this event meant a lot to us. We feel incredibly empowered and grateful to be a part of it, and we really hope that we can pursue this, keep working with the summit, and really change our community and bring some parts of our community together for a common goal that's really important to us. We look forward to keeping the City Council informed on the progress of the summit, and we definitely hope to have both staff and council represented at the summit in fall. So,
And we just
thank you very much for your time. Good night.
Well, Ann and Amy, thank you very, very much for coming and for that invitation.
Christy Welsh.
Hi, my name is Christy Welsh. I live at 985 Northwest Honeywood Court, Issaquah, Washington. I'm a property owner there, and I wanted to come tonight. I became aware of a little bit of sort of not in my backyard attitude regarding the proposal of the skate park, specifically at Tibbetts Park, and I just wanted to come and speak in support of it being at Tibbetts Park. I think it would be an incredible asset to the community. I think Tibbetts Park is a fantastic venue. It's well lit, has a lot of traffic due to the sporting events and ball games. The park and ride is located nearby, providing transit. And I also wanted to speak out in support of the youth that would use the facility. I think that the skate park has gotten an unfair bad rap. And I just wanted to represent the parents and part of the community that would use it and enjoy it. Thank you.
Silas Lineman, followed by Amelia Lineman.
Good evening, council members and Mr. Butler. I'm Silas Linneman. I'm 8th grade, and I live in 1030 Northwest Honeywood Place, up right across from the Tibbetts Park. And I am also speaking about the new idea of the skate park being at Tibbetts. I am in full support of the new skate park at Tibbetts, and I'm here just to discuss why I feel like it would be a great idea. I don't skate, but I BMX, and that's another great asset for the skate park. I know I have many friends that also do the same, and I know a lot of people up in the neighborhood where I live would benefit highly from that. I know many people think the skate park has a bad rap due to drugs and alcohol, and I know that won't be an issue, or it won't be as of an issue at Tibbetts. It's very, as Christy said previously, it's very, a lot of people come there for baseball games, people play at the park. I know people sometimes go down to the river too, and I feel that by having a skate park there, it will lessen the drugs and alcohol and crime. I feel I'm just speaking on behalf of some of my friends, and I feel that the skate park would be a great place to be put in Tibbetts Park. Thank you.
Thank you.
Amelia Lemon, followed by Ryan Welsh.
I'm Amelia, and I live at 1030 Northwest Honeywood Place. I'm here also speaking about the bike park or the skate park. I think it should be at Tibbetts, followed by my brother, because it's a really open and public place, and you really can't do many bad things there because it's open to the public, and you can easily get caught. And yeah, that's all I have. That's it.
Thank you, Amelia.
Hello, I'm Ryan, and I'm also speaking for Tibbetts Park. I'm a resident, and my address is 985 Northwest Honeywood Court. And the reason I think Tibbetts would be a good place for a skate park is because it's very open to the public.
Levi Stoner, followed by Jack Welsh.
My name is Levi. My name is Levi. I live at 1043 Greenwood Boulevard, Southwest. I lived on Issaquah Mountain and Issaquah my whole life, and I've been skateboarding for 2 to 3 years. Skateboarding around my house is dangerous because it's bumpy and there are cars. When you go to the Sammamish skate park, it takes us 20 minutes to get there. Tibbetts Park is the perfect place to have a skate park because it is nearby and there are usually lots of people around. So there is less chance for vandalism and drug deals. The best part is that Top Hut is only a block away, so when we get hungry, we can go get donuts. This is why I would love to have a skate park right in Issaquah.
Okay, so I am Jack Welsh. I am a 5th grader who lives at 985 Northwest Honeywood Court with Christy and Ryan and my dad. And so I'm vouching for Tibbetts Park to be a place to keep it because it's a much more public place than where the current skate park is. And so it would get a lot more use into it than the current one. And it would really, it would keep a lot of people who do drug deals, underage alcohol, stuff like that out because it's a highly public place. Many people go there. And it's just, there's a lot of foot traffic. There's a lot of, it's easily accessible by the park and ride. And yeah, thank you.
That's last on my list.
Is there anyone else in the audience desiring to speak? Yes.
I am Barb Justice, and I live in Klahanie. And I've come here to speak about a couple things. I think that the interlocal agreement that you have prepared is quite good. I'm glad that it has the last paragraph that talks about the avenues that can be taken if there are breaches. But what I am really worried about a few things within Klahanie that are in the King County area next to Beaver Lake Road, and one is the 12,000-year-old bog that the pipeline company is proposing to put a new pipeline through there. When they did that in 1975, they went right through the middle of that bog. That bog cleans the water and does a lot of good environmental things for the aquatic life and that sort of thing. And I'm just afraid that they don't understand that much about that issue, and I hope that they will fight that issue, because there's not too much else that can be done except to go around that area, which I would appreciate and prefer. And the other two things I'm kind of concerned about is early on when they were talking about taking the King County Park, they talked about putting a road through between the school and that park and going into Klahanie, and I'm really worried that they're going to do that, and I don't know how to deal with that, whether or not some things can be said outside with the interlocal agreement, or if we just have to fight it on our own. And so those are the things that really are concerning me, because if they punch that road through from Beaver Lake onto Klahanie Boulevard, that is going to put a whole lot of traffic through an area that is already pretty well backed up with traffic, and I'm just afraid that that would be a really bad idea. But I do appreciate the work that all of you have done to make it happen, to be annexed to Issaquah, and it didn't work, and so I'm happy that I live on a flat plateau that doesn't slide. And I will continue to be a volunteer in Issaquah and do all the things I have done forever. And I'm devastated, but I understand that these things happen, and that's the way it goes, and I appreciate all the work you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, Barb. Before I ask if there's anyone else desiring to speak, is there anyone else desiring to speak about the skateboard park? Okay, seeing no one, let me provide a little information about what's going to happen. This evening on our consent calendar, there is an agenda bill that is titled Skate Park Proposed Site Location. That agenda bill, if the consent calendar is approved, will refer it to the Council's Services and Safety Committee meeting on May the 1st. There is another opportunity there to speak to the location. Those meetings are held in the Eagle Room and typically start at 5 o'clock, and so that would be 5 o'clock on May 1st. Following discussion there, then the committee will at some time in the future refer it back to the City Council for action on the selection of the location. And that would be a regular council meeting here in council chambers that's advertised on the city's website, and the agenda is published. So there are other opportunities to speak to the potential location of a skateboard park in our community. So now with that, I believe that there is someone else desiring to speak. Yes, please.
My name is Lisa Milkowski. I live at 890 Lingering Pine Lane in Tallis. And I sent a letter to all of you. I hope you received it. And it outlined concerns that myself and many residents of Tallis have regarding the proposed annexation area. And in addition to that, Tallis is Parcel 7, which is under review right now by the Urban Development Commission. That was a proposal for parcel 7, 8, and 9. 8 and 9 were approved, and 7 was tabled. So just to summarize my concerns, they're detailed in the letter. There's the divergence of parcel 7 and the proposed annexation area from the Talus Development Agreement. I detail out specific concerns we as a community of Talus have with regard to that. In addition, there's the failure to recognize potential flooding and landslide risks on a minor scale. But there are those risks, and we need to do due diligence at this point to make sure that those risks are resolved. Thirdly, the failure to recognize the compromised placement of a huge retaining wall in parcel 7. And my guess is there will be issues with retaining walls also in the proposed annexation area. The burden of maintaining those retaining walls is going to end up being taken by someone. It's kind of assumed at this point that it might be the Talus Homeowners Association. And from many members of the Homeowners Association that I've spoke to, we are not willing to accept the risk, the responsibility of that type of retaining wall. And the fourth issue was that of single point access to Talus and issues of traffic, especially with developments that are being considered around Talus without the addition of a second entry point. The single point access is certainly a concern and potentially a dangerous situation. So in the letter, I also summarize some suggestions. I think you can look at those, and at a meeting other than this one where you have so much other business, we could discuss those. So I would like to ask that you consider preventable and issues that we can anticipate with these developments. And I ask that you do due diligence in these matters. I'm bringing these issues up in consultation with my neighbors early in the process, very early in the process. We have plenty of time to examine these issues. So I hope that we do that. I do not want potentially awful consequences. I love Issaquah. I'm very happy living in Talus, and I think I have a responsibility, as I know you feel, to maintain the future of the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience desiring to speak? Yes, please.
Hello, my name is James Ricks. I am a sophomore member of the class of 2016 at Liberty High School, and I live at, sorry, a little laryngitis, 14326 Southeast 87th Place in Newcastle, Washington.
Hi, my name's Lauren Johnson. I live at 8619 139th Avenue Southeast in Newcastle, Washington. James and I are both sophomores at Liberty High School in the Issaquah School District, and like our friends Amy and Ann, we represent the Sustainability Ambassadors. About 3 weeks ago, the week of March 31st to April 4th marked our second annual Sustainability Week at Liberty. At the end of the week, and possibly the highlight of the week, we held our Star Talks. Our Star Talks were modeled after the really popular TED Talks, but in our case, STAR stood for Sustainable Tools for Assessing and Rating Communities. Our Star Talks centered around green building, as Liberty is undergoing construction right now with a focus around green building. And we began as sustainability ambassadors along with 2 other students at Liberty talking about some context on green building and various rating systems involving green building. And we were followed by a Bassetti architect, the firm that's designing our new school, and he talked about a lot of the sustainable features within Liberty and what will be coming with Liberty. And it was really cool to have somebody talking who really knew what they were talking about Liberty, and he really got the students excited about what Liberty was doing well, and it was really exciting for students to see that.
Not to be outdone, of course, we also heard from architect who designed this is really bad, a series of portables actually that were net zero waste, net zero water, and a real next step in incorporating green design and functionality. And her invention was a portable, and at Liberty we have 38 portables, so you can understand how this spoke to us as a student body. And so there was actually a lot of buzz afterward, and I was approached by several teachers and students afterward about these portables and also about the different changes that are going on at Liberty High School right now. And so, in short, I'd like to thank our principal who's not here for his personal motivation in bringing this sort of presentation around at Liberty High School. And I would also like to extend an invitation to all you members of the City Council and anyone in the audience that is interested, as we will be hosting these sort of talks next year as well, and also the Sustainability Week. If you'd like to find out more, we have information about future events on our website at sustainabilityambassadors.org, and I thank you all for bearing with me with my voice this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks to both of you. Is there anyone else in the audience desiring to speak this evening? Anyone else? Third and final call. Seeing no one else desiring to speak, audience comments are closed. Let me just say that it's certainly very, very encouraging to have a number of students come and speak to the City Council so eloquently on a variety of topics and subjects. So I commend each of you who got up here and spoke, and for those others in the audience who are providing moral support for the speakers, thank you also. With that, now we'll move to committee and regional reports, and we'll begin with Council Member Milligan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have none.
And Council Member Pauley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The King Conservation District has set up an executive committee that met on April 16th and will meet again on April 23rd at Bellevue City Hall, and it's an open meeting, and they are working on their work program for this year. I attended the one last week and hope to make the one on the 23rd as well. I'm an alternate for the Sound Cities on that committee.
Thank you. Council Member Martz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Land and Shore Committee met on April 8th here in Council Chambers. We looked at Agenda Bill 6810, the interlocal agreement with the City of Sammamish. That is on the regular agenda this evening, so I'll save comments for that. Agenda Bill 6795, sale of surplus property. Reviewed the city the proposal, and without going into details, made some changes that got placed in the bill that is on consent agenda for this evening, and then got an update on the status, the legal status, and the legislative status of recreational marijuana in the state. This concludes my report.
Council Member Scher.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening to members of the viewing public. The Council Infrastructure Committee met on April 11th. We had an update on our solid waste contract from Recology, aka Cleanscapes. You'll see the rebranding of their store and their trucks coming this fall to the Recology name primarily. The presentation focused on a number of positive factors and indicators with our solid waste contract, such as an increase in our overall diversion rate of recyclable and compostable materials. The diversion rate goal is actually supposed to reach 55% as compared to our 2001 comprehensive plan by 2015, although it was a question whether that was the start of 2015 or the end of 2015, as Councilmember Milligan asked, and I'm not sure we ever got that answer. But needless to say, our overall diversion rate in 2013 is standing at about 48%, so there's still some additional work to go. There was a very positive response to a recent survey concerning the solid waste contract. A majority of individuals knew of Cleanscape's store in Gilman Village. There's also an extremely low incidence of contamination in carts for recycling and composting, incredibly low. 0.01% of carts were found to have greater than 20% contaminants in a recent survey. And that's pretty significant. Problems tend to be things like plastic bags and styrofoam, interestingly, two items that our city has taken regulatory action on. There's also great satisfaction with Cleanscape's pickup. We are the first city in the country to use natural gas hybrid trucks, and they're working on additional outreach and other efforts to improve their customer service. We also had an update on our food packaging ordinance outreach, and that was actually deferred to our budget deliberations in the fall. We had an update on East Lake Sammamish Parkway and eventual widening on that road, which will be currently where it's 1 lane, and eventually that'll get up to a full 2 lanes all the way down to the freeway interchange, heading southbound on the Parkway. That is expected to be begin construction in June of 2015, and then eventually there will be other improvements in the North Issaquah roadway network that will be expected to come after the Parkway is widened. We also had Agenda Bill 6720 dealing with concurrency and impact fees. The committee recommended approval of that bill to regular business at our next council meeting on May 5th. That bill does not in and of itself fix our concurrency system. What it does is it provides additional funding for updating and analysis of concurrency models, which are currently outdated, and that funding will allow us to move forward, hopefully in time to implement a new concurrency plan in January of 2015, a very ambitious schedule with targets that we expect to meet. And then finally, we had Agenda Bill 6562, the Water System Plan Update. The Council Committee also recommended referral for approval to the May 5th meeting on the consent calendar, and there were some discussions about comments that were made from DOH and the county on the water system plan. One other report to provide, which is that the Eastside Transportation Partnership met on Friday, April 11th. We had a very lengthy and outstanding presentation from State Representative Judy Cliburn, who's chair of the House Transportation Committee in Olympia. And Representative Cliburn provided some great insight to the partnership about what had occurred in the last legislative session, many of the challenges in working with the Senate Majority Caucus Coalition, looking ahead to some things that may happen next session. And there is hope and optimism that common ground will be found and that they can move forward on a transportation package in the next session, which hopefully could include funding for the 520 bridge project, as well as funding for localities such as Issaquah, so that we can move forward on some much needed projects as well. So the partnership had a nice conversation with Representative Cliburn. We greatly appreciate her being there. And then we had some additional updates from the Puget Sound Regional Council on various regional projects and some other strategic planning that's going on. One thing to note with regards to ETP, leadership is working on converting our June meeting into a half-day retreat that would probably run from about 8 to 11 a.m. It hasn't been formally scheduled or located at this time, but I want to bring it up in case you're interested, and you can mark your calendars. Those conclude my reports. Thank you.
Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mayor. Services and Safety, as we've heard before, is scheduled for May 1st at 5 p.m. in the Eagle Room. If consent passes this evening, there will be 3 items on our agenda. The first is 6803, Cemetery Maintenance Fee Increase. 6804 is the Skateboard Park Proposed Site Location. And 6814, Consideration to Establish a Salary Commission. And that will be May 1st at 5 p.m. in the Eagle Room. Thank you.
Councilmember Winterstein.
No report.
For the mayor's report, there will not be an executive session held this evening. Good news for all Issaquah pet owners. You can now purchase pet licenses at Issaquah City Hall Northwest as well as City Hall. Dogs and cats living in Issaquah require pet licenses that must be renewed annually. The City of Issaquah contracts with Regional Animal Services of King County for animal control services and pet licenses. Licenses can be obtained between the hours of 5 a.m. and 5 p.m. Monday through Friday at each of those locations. The Issaquah's Farmers Market is now open on Saturdays from 9 to 2 p.m. and they will be open every Saturday between now and October the 11th. To kick off our season this past Saturday, we celebrated Earth Day. Our Office of Sustainability was joined by representatives from local environmental organizations. Another way you can join in celebrating Earth Day is on Tuesday, April 22nd, by attending a free film screening on the groundbreaking documentary, Trashed. The film examines the crisis of trash, highlighting how garbage threatens our health and our environment. Trash will be presented from 1 to 2:30 p.m. and again from 7 to 8:30 p.m. at Blakely Hall in the Issaquah Highlands. I'd like to point out that April is Distractive Driver Awareness Month, and to raise awareness about the number of distracted drivers on our roads. The Issaquah Police Department will focus on motorists who are talking on the phone, texting, browsing the internet, or otherwise not paying attention to their surroundings. For more tips on how to stay safe and focused, visit our website at issaquahwa.gov. That's issaquahwa.gov. Join us to plant trees this Saturday, April the 26th, to celebrate Arbor Day at the Issaquah Farmers Market. Volunteers are needed to plant trees along the Issaquah Creek and Pickering Trail. To participate, check in at the information booth near the Pickering Trail entrance between 9 and 11 a.m. Planting will take place from 11 to noon. There is a correction to the consent calendar. Item J is Agenda Bill 6805, amending IMC 3.32 relating to foreclosure of delinquent assets. The proposed ordinance has been revised, correcting a minor Scrivener and formatting issue. A revised copy is attached before the council for approval this evening. And then finally, there is still time for you to provide input on what the council's 2015 goals should be. An important part of this goal session process involves feedback from our community. So please visit our website. Again, that's issaquahwa.gov, and take a couple of minutes to complete our survey before May 11th, 2014. And we thank you for your participation. So that concludes the mayor's report. Moving now to the consent calendar. What is the council's pleasure on the consent calendar? Councilmember Winterstein?
Thank you. I move that we approve the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar as submitted signify by saying aye.
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 Those opposed, that carries unanimously. Moving now to regular business. Our first item under regular business is Agenda Bill 6798, Julius Boehm Pool Renovation Performance Contracting, Interagency Agreement Number K2633. And are you going to introduce this one, Eileen?
I'll give a brief introduction.
Thank you.
This is Agenda Bill 6798, which is here to approve an interagency agreement in regards to Julius Boehm Pool, which is now over 42 years old. And if you've been there, it's been well loved, well maintained, well used, has provided the opportunity for many, many of our young children to learn to swim safely and to be safe in our waters surrounding our city. Some specific concerns that we've got going on there is HVAC, mechanical systems, energy consumption, lack of ADA accessibility, deterioration of the pool finishes, plumbing systems, automatic controls, lighting, boilers, electrical distribution. Some additional amenities that would be wonderful would be a family changing room, concessions, the party room, parking improvements, and landscaping. The purpose of this agenda bill is to approve an agreement with Washington State Department of Enterprises, performance contracting, construction management services for the renovation of the pool. We have with us this evening Rick Patterson is here to help us present and answer some of our questions. Ann McGill with the Parks Department, And from Washington State Department Enterprising, we have Todd Flynn here to also answer some of our questions this morning. So, Rick, I'll let you help us out here.
Okay, well, I didn't leave me much there. I'll get right to the point. We, like I said, we're here tonight for 6798, which is the pool renovation project, and trying to introduce a new method to the city. This is performance contracting. It's a little bit different than the traditional design bid build, but we think that there are some values that are definitely worth looking at and going forward with this process. And the next step after entering an interagency agreement with Washington State Department of Enterprise would be to interview the 13 energy service contractors that the state has already approved for this type of work. At the end of those interviews with those contractors, we would be able to determine if this is the right fit for us and it's going to give us the end product that we want. So there will be opportunities to make that decision down the road. If this is not the right fit for us, we would revert back to the traditional design, bid, build process and start from there. Like Councilmember Barber mentioned, we have Todd Flynn he's an energy engineer with the Washington State Department of Enterprise. We have a short PowerPoint presentation that he is going to walk us through, and at the end of that, there'll be an opportunity for questions from Todd and myself. So here's Todd, and we'll pull up the PowerPoint.
Okay, well, thanks for having me. Good evening. My name is Todd Flynn, and I'm a mechanical engineer with the State of Washington Department of Enterprise Services Energy Group down in Olympia. And my office provides project management and contracting services for energy performance contracts. So I'm here today to just kind of give you a quick overview of performance contracting. So on this slide here outlines the two RCWs that grant legislative authority to undertake performance contracting, 3935A and 3935C. In these excerpts, the first one, paragraph there, just identifies my office. Listed there as General Administration. We've since been renamed to Enterprise Services to maintain a registry of energy service contractors. And we do that on a biennium basis where we pre-select and pre-qualify a list of qualified firms. And currently there's 13 on that list. The second paragraph there just directs us to assist state agencies and any public entities in identifying, evaluating, and implementing the cost-effective conservation projects. So this is just a quick explanation or definition of performance contracting. So it's basically identifying and constructing and financing utility conservation projects. And the idea is to use those saved dollars to help finance the project, and eliminates a lot of the risks associated with design, bid, build, and that there will be a chart later on that will kind of compare the two methodologies. So some of the advantages of performance contracting is low bid is not required because it is performance guarantee provided by the ESCOs. Typically, the construction portion is bid to a select bidders list, and the owner can be involved in selecting what contractors bid on the different portions of the work. They also can be involved in the equipment selection, the design process. And again, GA, we've had over 20 years successful experience in performance contracting. This method has been around actually for quite a while. And the guaranteed portion of this processing is the project cost, energy savings, and the performance of the equipment.
Excuse me, Todd.
Sure.
On this slide, owner being the city of Issaquah on this case.
Exactly, yes. So there's really three entities involved. You know, my office providing project management oversight, the client or the owner being the city of Issaquah, and the energy performance contractor. So it's really a collaborative process. Those are kind of the three players involved in this. And the energy performance contractor is actually acting as the designer and the contractor in this phase. It's really kind of a turnkey process. So this chart just kind of compares the two methodologies. Second column over, design, bid, build. Next one over, performance contract. So AE selection, design, bid, build, you go out for a competitive or selection. On the energy performance, we've already done the selection for you, so you're allowed or able to just select off of our pre-qualified list. This saves time and money. Contracts and the conventional design bid build, you have detailed bid specs. In the performance contract, we define performance and guarantees. This also saves time and money. Pricing, in the design bid build, it's a low bid, change order environment. Performance contracting, it's open book pricing once we hit the construction portion of it. All the fees on the consultant side are pre-negotiated maximums. And there's also an option for financing for the performance contracting method. I think in this case, probably not applicable, but is an option. So these are just some of the qualifying projects that we typically see. There's building lighting, street lighting, heating, ventilating, air conditioning, steam and condensate boilers, control systems, waste reduction, and water conservation. So this kind of outlines our experience. So like I said, this program's been around for over 20 years. 300 million in construction, over 500 completed projects, 30 million in rebates and energy cost save. And we work with a variety of clients, anywhere from state agencies, universities, cities, counties. Kind of a partial list there. So this is kind of the sequence of operation, or the sequence of procedure. Number one, the project is initiated by an interagency agreement. The ESCO is selected. There's a preliminary audit, investment grade audit, and design and construction provided both by the ESCOs. And then after 1 year, there's a measurement and verification, which to verify that you're getting the savings. So this is just kind of a graphic of representing the process also from the lower part with the IAA selection all the way through to the measurement and verification. So it's kind of a quick overview, but I'll be happy to take any questions. And thank you for your time.
Are there questions of Todd or Rick? Tola?
Is there any way to measure or case studies on the savings of ESPC versus DBB?
They're really, they're kind of two different processes, so I don't really have any case studies that I could point to. Yeah, because there's really kind of two, that you get the guarantee portion with the design bid build, you're really not getting that. So I guess I really don't have, I guess I don't have a good answer for that, really.
Follow-up?
Well, I just, if you have a conventional way of doing things, we always are striving to try to explain how we're, saving taxpayer money. And it would be nice to have some way, since this was brought to us as this different methodology, to then say how we know it's saving money. So if there's, I don't know, if there's follow-on materials that we can receive regarding this, it would be helpful. It's sort of odd that it's brought to us as this new methodology, but we can't say that it's a cost savings mechanism.
Well, I can add a little bit to that. I think one of the benefits we could mention is the staff time, where we get to bypass the RFQ process, which the state has already done. There's probably some other savings to be had, but that's a substantial one up front in the beginning of the process. The example of I looked at some of the RFQs the state received, and for staff to review the same amount of paperwork, those documents were over 2,500 pages. So that's a process that the state has done for us, which we can bypass. So there's some savings there. And I think there's also savings to be had when we can sit down with the contractor and actually work through the design process versus having the design process come to us as a bid and packaged.
So I'm hearing two things, administratively, saving in staff time.
Yeah.
To tailor the the contract or the performance specifications to our individual situation. And then one of the things that appealed to me in this was the performance guarantees that are a part of the process. And so that to me sounds like a reduction in risk and a guarantee that we're going to get those savings that are promised. Does that sound about right, Todd?
Yeah, you're correct. Yeah, I mean, there is, you're having them assume some risk, and I think that's true. And so that is a savings in that, that you're not exposed, you don't have the same exposure. It's kind of hard, there are not apples to apples, there are different processes. But yeah, I think Rick's good point, you know, can be some time savings.
And if I understood the slide, one of the slides correctly, I believe I saw that you did not have to accept the low bidder.
No, you don't.
And so that, in some cases, it could be a significant advantage in that it's more performance-based. You've got someone who's tried and true, who's been certified and demonstrated that they have done this before, rather going out sort of on your own and hoping you select the right person where you are required to select the low bidder. Paul?
Thank you. A question about the energy savings is, so the baseline is today's energy consumption and there's a guarantee savings over today's baseline, or what's the baseline and how is that how is the savings calculated?
Yeah, so there's a baseline that's identified up front with either utility, looking at utility bills, data logging, and that establishes in the investment grade audit portion of the process.
And the savings is then guaranteed over what period of time?
Typically, we look for a 1-year measurement and verification, and it can be extended past that if you like.
So just, I don't know if you're in a position to do this, can you just give us some idea on like what would, round numbers, kind of savings are, what might we be looking at in such a project? And so, and the reason I'm asking is up until this point, as we considered this project, when we put the bond in front of voters, when the voters selected the bond, it was about obtaining something within the community that's an improvement of what we have. But the actual cost for the acquisition of that, now we're getting down into this, the build. And so this is a program, your approach, this contracting approach, would actually guarantee us certain funds being saved due just to energy. So just what kind of, in round numbers, what might we expect out of this?
Well, yeah, it's hard to say without knowing the operation of existing pool, but you know, 20 to 25% is not an unrealistic number.
Okay. So, Rick, and if you guys might need to step up to the mic to keep talking, just Rick, you just have a round number. You can tell us what we think that would be, so the public is aware.
Todd's had more experience doing this. I think with the round numbers, I would be reluctant to put something out there until we actually have done a baseline on what our current energy consumption is, and then you know, we would work with design engineers and Todd's group, and you know, try to bring in some of the newer technology's changed a lot in the last 40 years, and some of our equipment is not all 40 years old up there, but there's definitely got to be some substantial savings, and I wouldn't feel comfortable just guessing what that number might be.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on what your current operation is right now. A lot of times we come in and we find that there's you know, it's operational changes that we can make, and then equipment changes can add on top of that then. So I guess when I'm throwing, you know, the percentage number depending on what your current bills are, but 20 to 25% is not an unusual number. It could be more, it could be less.
Mary Lou, did you have a question?
Actually, I have more of a comment, so maybe I'll just wait till the end.
Okay. Nina, I saw you. Okay. Are you ready for your comment now?
I'm sort of agreeing with the other council members who are asking questions about numbers. I'm kind of a numbers person. I like this concept. I think it sounds very innovative and exciting, but I would think that during this process, while the specs are being done, while they're reviewing things, that there'd be an opportunity for them to come back and update us throughout the process so that we are hearing about what these cost savings might be, what these design innovations would be. So I'm hoping that they'll be coming back through the process with detailed numbers, so give us a better idea of what the benefit of the process is.
So I guess taking that comment and putting that into a question, are there opportunities once you've done your baseline audit and as you move through the process to establish check-in points where we can see how you're going and have some idea about reasonable expectations of cost savings associated before we get to the end?
Yeah, I guess I probably wasn't as clear as I should have been on the process. Once you've selected the performance contractor, they will undergo an investment grade audit where they'll analyze your facility and establish that baseline energy use. And then they'll come up with different energy efficient measures that you'll be able to choose from to develop a project. And once you develop that project, that's when they'll present an energy service proposal, which will outline what further work they would propose to do, and which includes the design and construction of those measures. And in that proposal will be a guaranteed maximum cost as well as guaranteed energy savings that they've calculated. And then there will also be a plan to monitor and verify those savings on a yearly basis. And typically, like I said, we typically monitor and verify for 1 year, especially for lighting or measures such as those. And you may go more than that depending on the complication and your confidence in those readings. So I guess the points of decision are: one, to enter into the program when you would sign the interagency agreement. The second decision point is really investing the money into an investment grade audit. And then the output of the investment grade audit would be the commitment to really the balance of the funds to construct the project for the design and construction of that project.
And I'll just add to that, it's my expectation that there would be another agenda bill coming forward when we do get to that point. So this agenda bill is about entering into the performance contract agreement with the state. And so to answer your question, yes, the council would see this again in an agenda bill, and exactly which phase that was mentioned, I'm not exactly sure yet. We haven't been through this, but we will be bringing this back when we get the baseline numbers, the audit reports, and we have some more solid numbers.
Eileen?
I'd like to make a motion this evening to move to approve an interagency agreement number K2633 as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Additional questions or discussion? Councilmember Scheer.
Thank you, Mayor. I was looking through information from the EPA on this type of process, and one thing caught my eye that was very interesting and very positive. It talked about state governments enacting emission reduction initiatives to address the problem of climate change, and it talked about these types of processes that are the cornerstone of meeting these types of political mandates. It says EPC projects provide a quick way for policymakers to deliver major energy savings and therefore emissions reductions. And it goes on to talk about demonstrated cost effectiveness, the lack of major technical risks, and it says that the delivery infrastructure, the ESCO industry, is already in place and has a history of scaling up to service customer-driven growth opportunities. And it talks about using renewables and supporting the project economics. So to me, this information looks very positive in the context of what's being proposed here. So I do support the committee's recommendation to move this forward. I would be remiss, however, if I didn't point out one twinge of disappointment with this process, which is the pool itself. Because about 5 years ago, we as a council suggested moving forward with a much larger pool project. There was a really nice feasibility study. If you want to see it, it's on our website, 2009 feasibility study. It's absolutely beautiful, lots of color drawings, and we committed to a much bigger project. But then somewhere between 2009 and the park bond, it got scaled way down, and we ended up with a $10 million park bond, about half of which is going towards rehabilitation at the pool. And in my mind, that's not the direction we wanted to go just 5 years ago. I think the community would have been benefited more from a much more expansive project and perhaps a larger bond, but it is what it is, and we have the bond that's been approved, we have the funding that's available, and I think this particular process will be very helpful not only in cost savings for the city, but also in terms of environmental benefits, which being that we are a regional leader on environmental issues, this is yet another step in that same direction and drumbeat that we often follow in regards to that leadership. So with that twinge of disappointment, I'm supportive of the bill. Thank you.
Other Councilmember Martz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I understand Joshua's disappointment. I think it would be wonderful to have a bigger pool. However, I just want to point out, and you know, in some of my other volunteer activities, I'm involved with bonds, and the worst thing to have happen is to float a bond that doesn't pass, because it creates concern in the community as to whether your elected officials know what they're doing and whether they are in step with the community. And the city did a really great job of surveying potentially larger bond off of a larger catchment area, and the numbers just weren't there. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have seen them. I would have loved, as a council, to have been able to support that. But the city did a good job of showing that the larger catchment area, which is roughly equivalent to the size of the school district, was just not there for that pool. So I think this is a good solution given what the voters have told us. This is the second issue tonight, or one of two issues where we will be acting based on what we heard directly from the voters, and I think this is the right step. Thanks.
Councilmember Barber.
This is a very different process than what we're typically used to when we come forward here with a new project within the city. I mean, typically we're used to the design build bid, which is, here's your project, here's how much it's going to cost, we sign on the dotted line, you move forward. Halfway through the project, they come back and say, gee, we didn't quite figure this in right, and there's going to be some cost overruns. And now instead of being X price, it's going to be X plus dollars. And this process is, as I'm best understanding, is going to give us that ability to have that first, you know, the baseline look at it, and then the investment design build. So this gives us, in the end, if I'm, you know, asked all the questions and understood everything right, it gives us a performance guarantee. It saves time and cost, and we get, we know what we're paying for. There is not going to be any surprises as we come to the end of this project. What we agree to once we see everything is what the cost of this is going to be. It's all pricing open book, so there's not anything that will pop up at the very end. If I'm jump in, Rick and Todd, if I'm saying something incorrect, but it appears to be, and as we heard, Josh gave us a nice read in regards to the energy savings. And if anyone has ever had their own pool, they know the energy drain. So anything we can do to help address that issue is going to definitely benefit our community, especially as we, you know, prove and we, you know, are quite proud of what we do in regards to energy and our environment for the city of Issaquah. So I am very supportive of it. It was hard to sort of get hands around it and understand this as we started talking about it, but as I've read, I'm feeling comfortable with the process, so we'll look forward to it.
Just to add to that, and to be clear, the guaranteed maximum amount that we're talking about related to this performance contracting is specifically related to the energy portion of this project.
Mm-hmm.
There are other portions of this project and improvements that are not energy related that won't have the same guarantee. When I say that, I'm speaking to things like a new pool liner, new deck surfacing, replacing of some drain lines and that sort of stuff, that when you do get into a building of that age, you're going to have surprises, and there will be things that come up on those portions of the project that most likely will generate some change orders. I've been doing this 28 years, and I haven't had a big project like this once with no change orders. So,
and that's why it's wise when you have an old building to have a sufficient contingency in your budget. It's just like if you owned an old house and you came up with a budget. So when you see our contingency, that's the reason why. It's just a just in case you get into an old wall or an old drain, so that we're prepared for something like that. Thanks.
But the energy portion of this will be one of those elements that will, day after day, month after month, year after year, if we're doing it right, give back to this in regards to cost savings in the operations end of this pool.
Yeah, that's correct. And there, we do set a contingency aside to take care of unforeseen conditions. And for the energy measures, like Rick said, they really do provide a guaranteed cost for those portion and those measures. They need to do enough research. They are providing the design and construction of those measures. So we do hold them to GMAX on those elements of the project.
Right. Thank you.
Any additional questions or discussion? Councilmember Winterstein.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to, of course, support this evening, and my gratitude to the Parks Department for seeking out the Department of Enterprise Services and engaging in this way. I think it's the first time we've done this in the city, and I like Councilmember Pauly's comments. I mean, I think the approach seems to have a lot of merit, and I'm glad to see us pursuing it, and I feel comfortable, especially if after reviewing the pre-approved contracts, there's an out for us. It's not free, but there's an out, and so I feel like there's sufficient safeguards in place if this route, working with DES, doesn't work out. So other than that, it's yet another project, and there shall be change orders eventually.
Thank you.
Are you ready to act on the motion? All those in favor of approving interagency agreement number K2633 as presented signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries unanimously. Moving now to Agenda Bill 6807, King County Parks Property Tax Levy Agreement. This is coming back from the Services and Safety Committee. Councilmember Barber.
Thank you, Mayor. This is in regards to the August 6, 2013 voters of King County Proposal Proposition 1 Parks Levy that authorized an additional 6-year property tax levy for specific park processes. For the first year of this levy, the levy rate is 0.1877 with subsequent levy adjustments for inflation for the purposes of maintaining and operating King County parks. The city's portion of the annual levy is 7%. For 2014, the levy proceeds are estimated to be $83,236 and have been included in the 2014 budget. Our Finance Director, Diane Marcotte, is here to answer questions and give us a little bit more update in regards to this agenda bill. Diane?
Thank you, Councilmember Barber. Diane Marcotte, your Finance Director. As earlier stated, this is just the only way for the city to receive the funds from King County Parks Levy is to enter into an interlocal agreement for the levy rate. So by approving this interlocal agreement tonight, then we can begin working with King County in order to receive the funds. During the development of the 2014 budget, we knew this dollar amount and the estimated dollar amount, so the revenue portion has in fact been included in the 2014 budget. But no expenditures at this time have been planned because when the revenue source was coming in, we hadn't really dedicated a plan or had a staff recommendation.
Councilmember Barber.
I'd like to move to authorize the mayor to enter into and execute an agreement with King County regarding parks property tax levy.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? Seeing none then, all those in favor of authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute an agreement with King County regarding parks property tax levy signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that carries unanimously. Moving now to Agenda Bill 6810, an interlocal agreement with the City of Sammamish, reference Klahanie Potential Annexation Area. This is coming back from Land and Shore. Councilmember Martz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the spirit of regional cooperation, the cities of Issaquah and Sammamish are considering an interlocal agreement concerning the Klahanie Potential Annexation Area, or what we have learned to know and love as the PAA. If approved by both cities, Issaquah would agree to release the Klahanie PAA so that Sammamish can take immediate steps to incorporate it into its comprehensive plan and proceed with potential annexation. In addition, the draft agreement states that Sammamish would pass a resolution of support for Issaquah's Central Issaquah Plan, an urban center designation proposal, not impose or accept the state's retail sales tax credit for Klahanie PAA annexation, promptly dedicate $3 million for improvements to Issaquah Falls City Road if the annexation proceeds. Sammamish would also make the project a top priority, start preliminary design work, and pursue state and federal matching grants, and finally pay the City of Issaquah $30,000 for the full use of its Klahanie annexation study. The complete interlocal agreement is attached as Exhibit A. Council Land and Shore Committee met on April 8, 2014 to review Agenda Bill 6810. The committee offered minor suggestions and clarifying language to the interlocal. The city attorney was consulted and did not recommend incorporating these changes. Considering this advice, the committee recommends approval of the interlocal without changes. The City of Sammamish unanimously approved the interlocal in its April 15, 2014 meeting. Therefore, I move we authorize the mayor to enter into and execute an interlocal agreement with the City of Sammamish concerning the Klahanie Potential Annexation Area.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? Councilmember Martz.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am really thrilled to support this ILA. This is the culmination of a lot of earnest effort throughout this region to help address the fate of Klahanie, and I want to thank Mayor Butler and Sammamish Mayor Vance, as well as City Administrator Harrison and Sammamish City Manager Yassizi. I apologize if I mispronounced that. I wish I could say that this is the final step. This is, however, a really major milestone in a long journey for Klahanie. We have heard what the voters said. I think that this agreement is an important way to address Klahanie within the regional framework. I think that there are folks who have asked why this matters to the Central Issaquah Plan and the urban center designation, and it really matters because those folks in Klahanie are going to want to have access to retail, and they're going to want to have access to jobs, and they're going to want to know that the city to the south has a plan and that we will be funding the infrastructure necessary to support those jobs and that retail going forward. And we would not be doing a good service to either Sammamish or Klahanie if we didn't have such a plan in place. And so this really shows that both we and Sammamish are thinking regionally, and so I just really thank everybody involved who came up with this ILA. I think it takes something that was an emotional issue and a disappointment for a lot of folks in Issaquah who made a very clear and in some cases passionate argument about why Klahanie should be part of Issaquah, and really puts it into a regional context where the whole east side sits better at the end of this ILA. Thank you.
Other questions, discussion, or comment? Councilmember Sheriff.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, after all the annexation debates, analysis, hand-wringing, and nail-biting, this is just what I was hoping for when the process began. But I will confess that my enthusiasm is tempered a bit because I know there were a lot of good folks who wanted to be a part of this great city. We heard from Mr. LaRue and Mr. Foss last week in audience comments, and I know many of their neighbors joined in their sentiments. And a lot of folks worked very hard on this campaign and put a lot of time and lot of effort behind trying to join this great city. I stand by my work session comments from last month that if we could have found a way to bring in the neighborhood where 78% of voters chose Issaquah, I would have supported that decision to a limited degree. But now the torch passes to our political friends in Sammamish to make good and forthwith prepare their own annexation efforts. This is not the beginning, and this is not the end, but this is another point on the road towards putting this entire matter behind us so that we can focus on the challenges that we face in our own neighborhoods. Challenges in Taos that we've heard about, challenges with the Central Area Plan, challenges with concurrency and traffic management, and challenges relating to business promotion and retention. We can now refocus and redouble those efforts financially and time-wise as a city by putting Klahanie to where I have believed all along that it should go, and that is to our friends to the north on the plateau. So I support this interlocal agreement, and I will wholeheartedly do my best to work with our friends in Sammamish to move forward with their efforts for annexation so that we can, as I've said before, get those folks out of limbo who live in the PAA, because really, I hate to say it to our friends on the county council, but the real loser here will be the county and the revenue that they won't get once the annexation occurs. But I still think it's in the residents' best interest up there to live in a city and pay city taxes and get city services, which is why they wanted to be part of a city in the first place. Maybe for some it's just not the city they thought it would be. Thanks.
Other questions or comments? Councilmember Winterstein.
Thank you. So it was not long ago, it was back on March 25th, when I made a comment that what had been missing so far was information about other ways that Issaquah and our neighbors could benefit from a different course of action. At that time, had just been presented a very kind of initial draft of what it might look like to annex the southern portion of that. And so that was March 25th, and I think most of my colleagues on the council joined me with their comments and sentiment expressing, yeah, let's get some more information. Now, this is the first time it's coming back to us, and now it's in the form of an ILA already signed, or I should say not signed, but passed by the Sammamish City Council. And, you know, what are the other ways? Well, what are the benefits? What do I see here? Well, let me first talk about, I think, the loss, and I think Barb Justice's comments tonight are another reminder that Issaquah's loss is that there are many fine people who have committed themselves to our community over the years, and it would have been, the number one benefit on my list would have been if they could have been also residents of our city. And I do appreciate your comments tonight about continuing to volunteer here and support, and that's exactly symbolic of the spirit and the I think the very close relationship Issaquah has developed with the residents of Klahanie over the years. So that's our loss, but I do appreciate your sentiments. But and so there was an election, of course, and that's what we're responding to that. And so what are the other benefits? Well, we put a lot into the definition of our urban center and our application for a regional growth center designation. I think that's if we're going to achieve that ambitious goal, public support, very strong public support of our neighbors is very helpful in that process. So I think that is definitely a benefit for Issaquah. Another element that's in here is that I think the primacy of the Issaquah Falls City Road to Sammamish and the residents of Klahanie is probably ahead of where it would be for us as a city. I have to admit that. And so I think that with this agreement and the commitment that Sammamish would be making toward that road sooner rather than later is also a regional benefit, because good regional roads and how they assist Sammamish, of course, I think will be a benefit to Issaquah as well. And so, I'm very pleased with the speed at which this progressed, and I certainly intended, back in February, I attended the GMPC, the Growth Management Planning Council meeting, and the election results had just been certified. And I made a commitment then to that council that we would work in a timely fashion to review our alternatives and take action. I'm very proud to be able to go back and to report, or at least be part of delivering the message of these results. And there's one other line in this agreement which I don't want anybody to overlook, which I think also speaks a lot to of what just transpired since March 25th. And it's in one of the whereases where the Sammamish recognizes and acknowledges the work that this council has done regarding this matter. And it always made me cringe a little bit when I've heard public officials in different forums, county level forums, Sound Cities level forums, talk about kind of the competition or the battle between Issaquah and Sammamish. And I never really felt of that as a competition. I never felt that way. And so, however, what was never there were many public comments in support of what we were doing. So I think that this is among all the elements of this new agreement, the comment from the line in the ILA acknowledging their support for our process, I welcome that, and I think it's really a message to all of our neighbors at the county level as well, that this council proceeds deliberately, fairly, and openly, and we keep what's the best interest of the public in mind in the decisions that we make, both those of our own residents and of our nearby neighbors. So I'm very glad to see that. So I certainly will be supporting this ILA.
Other questions, comments, or discussion? All those in favor of authorizing the mayor to enter into and execute an interlocal agreement with the City of Sammamish concerning the Klahanie Potential Annexation Area signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that motion carries unanimously. Moving now to Agenda Bill 6813, Annual Board and Commission Appointments. This is coming to you from the administration. The annual recruitment process began in January 2014 using a variety of media, press, website, email, newsletters, TV, etc. Boards and commissions were also encouraged to explore potential applicants within the community. Following the application deadline, the clerk's office compiled the applications and forwarded the information to the staff liaison for each board or commission. In accordance with council policy, each board commission established an interview team, scheduled and conducted interviews, and prepared its recommendation for mayor review. While the mayor is responsible for appointing mayors to boards and commissions, part of my challenge is to ensure an equitable balance of interests and expertise is represented on all advisory bodies at the time reappointments are considered. Council's affirmation of the appointment formally concludes the appointment process. So I have completed my review of the applications, and you have, as a part of the agenda packet, my recommendations for each of the boards, with the exception of the library board, which is will be a continuing process with a little more aggressive and unique outreach to fill the positions on the library board. So, with that, is there a motion to confirm the board commission appointments as presented in Agenda Bill 6813?
So moved.
And a second?
Second.
Questions or discussion? Councilmember Pauley.
Mr. Mayor, on your list at the bottom there are about 7 or 8 names that I assuming were people who applied for various positions but did not get them.
That's correct.
Is there a chance that it seems that some volunteers were selected to serve in several places? Is there a chance that people on that list would still be able to get an assignment on one of the committees?
We discussed that. We have some other vacancies. We're going to do some individual outreach for some of these, some of the folks that are listed here where it looks like they might meet the qualifications for a board or commission. And I would just like to acknowledge at this time those who took the time to submit an application, to go through the interview process, and there's at least one person on here who I encouraged to apply for a board but was not selected, but I have an idea for that person also. So that's a very good point. I'm glad you brought that up, Mary Lou. Councilmember Scher.
Thank you again, Mayor. I had a comment and a question. Comment-wise, I was pleased to see that the selections, especially with regards to UVDC, involved individuals who were currently serving already on that commission, perhaps in an alternate capacity, but that commission in particular, as we know, is dealing with some pretty significant neighborhood issues right now, and I think it would be difficult for anyone who's not been a part of that commission previously to suddenly jump in to some pretty dense reading material and significant neighborhood concerns. And I think my comment holds true with a number of the other commissions as well, with folks who have either been alternates or previously serving, so there's some continuity of knowledge and background. So I was pleased to see that. I do have a question, though, which is with regards to consolidation of boards and commissions. We've talked for a number of years about potentially streamlining and consolidating a number of these types of entities, and I recall a few years ago a conversation about potentially doing that at a point at which people's terms expired so that there would be a natural way of winnowing down these types of entities. Is the administration still considering that type of proposal, or have we reached a comfort level with respect to these being the boards and commissions moving forward and not taking any action in terms of reduction?
I don't anticipate any action that would reduce the number of boards and commissions at this time, and I've really not given it any, that's not been high on my priority list, quite frankly, and so I'm going to wait a while and sort of see how things play out. Councilmember Winterstein.
Thank you, Mayor Butler. So I need you to help me clarify something. So when Councilmember Pauley asked about the names on page 254 of 366 that did not have assignments to them, I just took one name and did a little, use the old Control F find and search functionality, and I recognized the name being someone from the Klahanie neighborhood, and so in the actual letter from the vice chair of the Planning Policy Commission, I actually see that Michael Foss is recommended to be appointed as an alternate in that letter, and that's on page 265. It's number 8. And so now I'm a little bit unclear. Is Mr. Foss an alternate on PPC?
Development Commission is the recommendation?
Planning policy.
Planning policy.
Planning policy. Thank you.
And I haven't audited all of these. It was just one that I took a look at. The letter specifically identifies 4 alternates.
The intent is to include that in as an alternate position.
So, in other words, the clerk just said the intent was to include Mr. Foss as an alternate. And so that would be in agreement with the letter that was submitted by Joan Perbola, the vice chair. So is it, am I accurate in assuming that the mayor's recommendation is in full alignment with the recommendation from the chair as spelled out in the letter? Okay.
He should be listed as an alternate on page 253. Is that correct?
That's the way I read that, yes.
Okay.
Correct.
So there's a lot of bookkeeping in all of this, and so just in general, I've been through the process. I think anybody who volunteers for a committee and steps up and says, "I'm going to do this," it's a great entry point for people into public service. I'm very pleased when I went that route. I think a number of us sitting here went that route as well. And so, and I also have a lot of belief in our process. Applications are submitted. They're a standard form. People can provide other information. Then some designee of the department or who's leading the committee or board, commissioner board, reviews those. The people are interviewed. So there's a fair vetting process. I generally support the mayor's actions when they do that selection. I'm honored that we got a chance to approve them or not. So, if this is just a bookkeeping issue, I'm not concerned about that at all.
It is. I verified that this particular commission can have up to 7 alternate members.
Okay.
And that's in line.
And so to make it perhaps a little bit cleaner, I would appreciate it if there is someone who would move to amend the motion to add Mike Foss as an alternate to the Planning Policy Commission.
Okay, so moved. I move that we add.
Second.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Other questions or discussion? Councilmember Milligan.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to join in the discussion because I like to thank the members of these commissions and boards. Having served on the Urban Village Development Commission for many years and knowing too that many of my fellow council members came from the boards and commissions, we know, and I wish the city, the rest of the city citizens knew as well as we do, all the work that's done by these boards and commissions. And such is the case in so many governments. There are certain areas where all the work is done. no one knows it. And it's not like everything trickles up to the mayor and to the council. No, these people are decision-making bodies, and I appreciate the tough work that they do and the energy and expertise that they bring to the positions. And we have really smart and capable members on these, and it's a great deal of comfort to me as a member of the city of Issaquah to have these people serving us, and just wanted to say thank you at this time. So, thanks.
Other questions or discussion? Yes, Councilmember Martz.
I just want to say for anybody who applied for a commission that, or board or commission that didn't get it, don't be discouraged. I, 7 years ago, applied for PPC, didn't even get it as an alternate. So then I thought, well, maybe I should run for city council. So you never know what that will lead you to do in your engagement in the community.
How true. Are you ready to vote on the amendment to add Mike Foss as an alternate to the Planning Policy Commission? If so, all those in favor of adding Mike Foss as an alternate to the Planning Policy Commission signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, that carries unanimously. Now to the main motion. Are you ready to act on the main motion? All those in favor of confirming board commission appointments as presented and amended in Agenda Bill 6813 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? That carries unanimously. And now moving to good of the order. Is there anyone who would like to speak to good of the order this evening? Mary Lou Pauley.
Just a couple of things. I believe, check with Eileen, Eastside Fire and Rescue has their awards on Thursday this week, their award ceremony.
There is.
Wednesday.
Oh, and I have it for Thursday.
I have it on Thursday also.
Yeah.
Oh.
We'll double check to confirm that.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
Fred, you're getting your award on Wednesday.
And the other item was I will be attending the Chamber Board meeting as the council liaison this Thursday.
Okay. And other items for the good of the order. Councilmember
I
Winterstein.
just wanted to mention, thank you everyone for your work on the goals that were submitted. We received a total of 17 goals. And the next step is we will be, the mayor and his staff are reviewing those. They're putting teams together to provide their responses. And those will be, I believe it's on May 2nd, or around there, where we expect to see the responses from the staff. And then we'll be gathering at the Committee of the Whole meeting on May 12th. And Josh, I understand that you still won't be there on May 12th, so we'll miss your participation, but we'll record that and we'll make sure that you can see that. And then, of course, it'll be, we've already saved the date for Saturday, May 17th, where we'll be gathering to review these, vet these, and select our goals going forward. So thanks, everybody, for their participation. And also earlier this evening, Mayor Butler mentioned there are still opportunities. We've had over 50 different residents and neighbors of ours submit their comments via the online survey. And, you know, I thank you to everybody who has submitted a comment. I'm really glad that we did that. Thanks to the mayor and the communications staff for making that available on the website. It's still live, and people still have an opportunity to submit those comments, and we will look at them. So that's all. Thank you.
Anything else to come before the council this evening? Seeing none, then we are adjourned.
Dumb luck. I look for the boss.
Not this one.
Thank you for reminding me.
No problem. Hello. Yeah, you know, I say I have it written down twice. So I have it Wednesday night at 6.